Hello and welcome everybody to the latest edition of Planted Unearthed. My name's Sam Peters, I'm one of the co-founders of Planted, the first contemporary design show aimed at reconnecting cities with nature. Anna, welcome to Planted, it's great to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
As I said to you before, you've passed the Deborah Spencer Design Eye Test, which is a very strict, it's a great accolade for Horticus Living. And could you tell us a little bit about Horticus Living and what is it that your business does and the products that you produce?
Yes, so our product is a modular living wall.
Mm-hmm.
So it basically allows you to create your own living wall to fit your space. Our basic unit, which is rather small, starts in a honeycomb shape, and you have 3 cells, and you can fit 3 terracotta planters into it. And then from then on, you can add as many plants as you like and grow it in any direction that you like. So it's really sort of organic way of approaching living walls, mm-hmm. rather than a sort of this fantastic impactful thing. You can grow it at your own pace.
Okay.
So you can just have a few plants, start with maybe 5 or 6 plants, or maybe even 3, and then slowly, as you get more confident, you can add more. But also we're working on extra features to add a little bit more of sort of comfort items to it, like speakers and lighting and humidifiers, so that you can integrate it as part of your living wall, but also have it as part of your life, because we do have these little bits in our home. Yeah. But the main aim behind it was about regaining the floor space. Plants have overtaken our lives again.
Yeah.
It's a resurgence mm-hmm. from the 70s. But our living space is actually shrinking.
Yeah.
Average home is 46 square meters. So according to Reba, so it's not really big, and it's a great way, but we have loads of walls, so it's a great way to introduce greenery and life back into our home, and that was sort of how we started.
That's a really interesting concept, yeah. Of course, rather than we all want beautiful green plants and greenery in our homes, but we don't have space to put huge plant pots inside, especially, or indeed outdoors, but so this is a great solution. And I guess sort of we're here in front of the biotecture living wall, which you mentioned, but very much Horticus Living is a more really for the home and for the living spaces.
It's more focusing about interiors for home. So if you have shelving or doorways or anything like that, the beauty of our system is that it allows you to sort of curve around your existing items, because it's organic. It uses an organic honeycomb shape, which obviously can build in any direction, and you can change it once you're bored of it, or if you move home, it's so easy for you to take it down, and very easily you can put it back up again. So it's incredibly flexible, and that's the beauty of it. I guess we're getting more and more flexible. Our lives need less and less restraint, so it's nice to have that.
Definitely.
With you, yeah.
And where's the idea? I mean, whose idea was it? Where did
Ironically, it actually started with my friend, and it was outside. His home, when he moved to it, his back garden was effectively an alley.
Okay.
It was as wide as a street in Venice. I literally could stand like this. All you could do is drag a bin through it, and that's it. And he said, well, what can I do with it? All I'm doing is looking out from my kitchen onto this brick wall. It's an old Victorian terrace home. And I remember my own childhood, and my mother, who, when we lived in London, I called it a stone sack. Basically, it was just a concrete 16 square meter space, and she did a lot of pot gardening. Mm-hmm. And the beauty about pot gardening is that it's so accessible. Everybody's tried it at some point. It's so easy. There isn't the complexity of the full garden design, where you need to understand the structure of the soil and where do I place it in the sun. And pot gardening is a lot more accessible. So I said to him, well, why don't you place a living wall there in some sort of shape or form? And his answer was that, well, it's kind of expensive, and then when I move, I have to leave it behind. It's not an easy structure for me to take with me. And that's how the sort of the gears started turning in my head. It's like, oh, actually, why can't it be a movable, flexible living thing that you can take with you and rearrange it to fit a new place, a new space that you live in? So yeah,
that's a lovely concept as well, because I think we've moved house a couple of times, and each time I've left behind this garden that I've spent loads of my own investment, my own literal time, and you learn the space and you learn where to grow things. But actually, with your product, you can actually take that beautiful garden essentially from the wall and lift it and take it to your next, wherever you move to next.
And you know what? We all make mistakes in gardens, right? And
yeah,
sometimes plants die. But the beauty with Horticus Living is the fact that if a plant dies, it's simple. You just take the plant down and that's it. And you're still left with a quite beautiful hexagonal graphical shape on the wall. Yeah. Or you could reuse the plant as a way to display a memento. At home, I use it to put kindling into it because we use it near a fireplace. So you can find other uses for it. So yeah, I think there is a time and a place for every type of living wall, and our focus is more sort of on the city dwellers. Because according to United Nations, I think the statistics is that by 2050, 66% of us will live in the cities, and that number is only going to grow. And you know, in UK specifically, we have a population of France, but only have half the land mass. So our homes are only going to get a little bit smaller. So how do we retain a little bit of paradise within them? How do we introduce that? And I guess for us, the answer was through our products of Horticus.
And in terms of Horticus Living, what can you tell us about the name and how you derived the name?
So the name itself is kind of meaning a dry garden from Latin hortus. Pottering is in a sense a dry garden because it is at home and you're growing it in a dry conditions. And it felt appropriate. It just kind of came at the right time, place. So. Yeah.
And what could you tell me? What you mentioned the kindling that you've got at your home, but what does your Horticus Living in your own home look like?
Right, so we actually use alcoves. So we have an alcove on either side, and we filled each alcove top to bottom with our frames, and the frames have put all the planters into it, and we're using it to store firewood, which is really handy because then we don't have all the crumbs and mess underneath it, and it's quite convenient. And in winter it's particularly nice because it gives you that sort of chalet feel to it, having lots of little wood stuck in the hexagonal pods. So yeah, it's quite nice. It's got its own kind of sense of homeliness and warmth. Because terracotta, our frames are black and they're powder coated steel, and the terracotta planters they give a beautiful contrast to greenery. And it makes everything sort of like punch out, but it also very nicely fitting with a lot of interiors. You know, so and terracotta in itself is an incredible material. It's breathable, which is it's really good for plants because the plant roots can breathe through it. And the way our plants are positioned is sort of facing forward to you. It means you don't overwater them, and that's the number one problem for a lot of plant disasters. Is we love them to death.
We try too hard.
We try too hard, and we just get way too much
Absolutely,
water
we've all done that down the years. But it's, I mean, you touched on the design there of the product, and certainly at Planted, I mentioned the Deborah Spencer design eye test. So Deborah's our co-founder is really the one who looks at the aesthetic of the product, and I think a lot of the time there's it's quite wrong, but an association that if you bring nature into your house, or it somehow kind of messes things up, or it doesn't look as clean in some way as some design products can do. But your product is so clean, and so it looks so so well designed. It's so structured, isn't it? And we've talked about biomimetic design and how some design can mimic the natural world, and your design, I don't know if this was intentional, looks to me like a honeycomb system.
It is a honeycomb system. It wasn't intentional. We were just looking for the most strongest structure that would allow us to tessellate, and honeycomb does that. Right. That's why bees build it, because it's strong, you know, and it's easy to add in any direction. It's flexible. So that's how it basically came about. It was kind of a happy accident that it happened to be natural, and Sorry, lost my thought.
It's all
No,
good,
that,
it's all
that was
good.
excellent what you were saying. That's
Yeah.
lovely. That's perfect.
It's
Right.
a happy accident just to be. So why don't we go back to where you're talking about the structure, and I like the idea that you can start with something really small, but you can grow it and build it over time.
Tessellation,
Yeah,
yes.
tessellation.
So that's it. So the honeycomb allows you to tessellate the
Right.
shape, and we sort of done it so you have two planters and then one to the side, and then you can basically move it in any direction. And that's kind of the key
Yeah.
to it. You can even we looked at it where you can make the frames go around and go up the ceiling as well. So if you have a beautiful dangling plants like Hoya, for example, you could have it grow up through the frame and hang down, so you could have like green curtains effectively if
Nice.
you wanted at home.
Amazing.
If you have particularly high ceilings.
Yeah.
But one of the massive challenges for us is our frames are laser cut, okay? But our planters are terracotta, which is a notoriously flexible, natural material. It wants to expand and contract and move. So we're trying to take something which is really sort of wacky in how it behaves and fit it with something incredibly constrained and accurate and engineered. So it took us a long time to find that magic where we get this really unnatural ceramic form. Majority of ceramics are round, while our planter hexagonal is a natural form to fit into something so engineered, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about your audience and the market? Who are the people that are buying your product? I mean, I'd imagine there's no specific age range, or
So
is
it's,
there?
no, we don't have a specific age range. It's anyone who loves plants and wants to keep the practice of cultivation at heart
Yeah.
of what they do. People who want to introduce greenery into their home or don't have access to a big garden. We are very much about creating big gardens in small spaces, and introducing that kind of a bit of greenery that we could be missing, whether it's a little bit of rooftop or a balcony or your office or your living room, kitchen, bathroom even, plants love, particularly majority of house indoor
Yeah.
plants, they love bathrooms.
Because they're humid.
It's so
Yeah,
humid,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And actually it's quite good insulator as well on the wall because
Okay.
you have the soil, so it's quite good if in the office to add that to give you a bit
Absolutely.
of quiet space
And
to
improve
work.
the air quality as well, potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
there's so many different environmentally positive reasons to actually have plants and that balance, I guess, of nature and man-made product, I guess.
Yeah, and we make everything in the UK, so we're quite lucky to be based in Midlands, and it's sort of heart of kind of manufacturers, a lot of manufacturers nearby, so it made it very easy. Both of our manufacturers in our and opposite direction to each other.
Okay.
So if there's anything wrong, we can just jump on it and go and be there and sort it out properly.
Low carbon footprint as well.
Absolutely, and it's really nice to actually work with local businesses. There is so much knowledge that they have that they can share with you, and let you know how to resolve these problems instead of waiting on an email 3-4 hours later. It's a quicker way for us anyway,
Yeah.
a quicker, more convenient way to develop a product.
So if you were talking to someone now who was looking to buy a Horticus Living system, how would you recommend people start off? Perhaps, especially, I guess because we're planted are all about reconnecting people with nature. The cities with nature. The implication is we've lost that connection. So I guess
We're slowly losing it. I don't think we entirely
You're
lost
absolutely
it.
right.
We are
That's
slowly losing it.
You're
Yeah.
that's a very fair point. But I guess what we're trying to do is shift the needle so it goes back the other direction.
Yeah.
And so clearly people who've never come across or been introduced to gardening in any way, shape or form,
Yeah.
perhaps they've got a small flat or a living space that doesn't naturally lend itself to gardening in the more traditional way. But
Well, we offer design service.
Fantastic.
So if you are if you love it and absolutely want to have it and at a loss, then we can offer you a design service and help you out. We've also recently posted our plant guide where you can go and check out the type of plants that we've tested would live happily in Horticus. We've rated them from easy to expert.
Amazing.
So it gives you more confidence, and it comes with extra information about how to look after the plant, but also any sort of SOS problems that you might experience, where, what do I do? It seems like my plant is dying, but we have a quite clear guide specific to that plant, what you could do. So you're sort of in a safe pair of hands, and we're always there. An email or phone call away, you can just sort of get in touch and reach out to us. And internet is awash with information, and also our Instagram as well, Horticus Living, by the way.
Yes,
is always, you can look up something or reach out to us that way and get you started. But you can start small. The key is there is no right or wrong way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Just start small and build up your confidence, unless you already have a huge collection of plants.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing is something that you can grow yourself. We have people who grow things in kitchens, so it's really great for herbs, and tomatoes and so on. We've done a test with mushrooms, so we've been growing mushrooms from it as well. So there are other purposes to it.
I love the idea of tomatoes. Of course, I hadn't thought of that because we haven't got a greenhouse at home because for space or in the garden, but maybe we don't need one. We could just grow our tomatoes indoors.
Yeah, well, we've just done a collaboration with a great girl from She Grows, and she's actually got our planters in her bathroom, and she's growing pineapples.
Wow.
And she's growing lemons and kind of fragrant oranges. So
amazing.
Yeah.
So you can create a little rainforest in your garden, essentially.
Limitation is your imagination.
Your bathroom, yeah. Fantastic.
That's the only thing you are limited by is your imagination.
Fantastic. I absolutely love that. I mean, so that's a great idea, and I'm going to take that away. And I think it's time to grow some oranges and tropical fruits in our bathroom.
Why not? I think it'd be quite fun.
Well, it's amazing. So Anna, it's been great to speak to you. I think it is a great product. It's something we're going to put in our own home for sure. And what's so nice about it is the way you explained it, that it's a product that even if you don't know about gardening, you haven't gardened before, you haven't got a big space necessarily, you can still go out and put this in your home and use it, and you can start. And and conversely, if you do have a big wall, you can go big as well. So that's a nice combination. You can scale it up.
A big green impact, massive impact, and you can have fun with it, and be creative. The beauty is to have some of your own creativity back to you.
Yeah.
Create your own shapes. You choose where the plants go, move them around. Sometimes mood strikes us and you can see something would work better, and I think even promoting that creativity is quite important. So it's not just about the oxygen that it gives you, but just your own creativity.
I think that's also such a good point, because I think people can be quite intimidated by gardening sometimes, can't they? It's like it's seems so much to learn, and there's so many complexities to it, and it's often presented in quite a kind of highly valued, sort of, it's quite a big thing to get your head round, isn't it? Yeah, and it's a big undertaking. But this can be simple and easy and fun, and that's a great message to get out as well.
Yes, we want you to have fun with it, and there is no wrong way of doing it, absolutely. And if you make a mistake, it's fine, because there is still a way to use it and look beautiful in your home. Yeah. And when you find that right plant, the reward of it growing is just incredibly pleasing. So yeah.
And if you really don't know where to go, you can give you a call and you'll help out.
Yes, absolutely. I'm way too chatty, so I probably would get sucked in and end up talking to many people. But yes, we are there to help out.
Well, it's been great for me to talk to you, Anna. It's great for Horticus Living to be part of Planted. We're really grateful for you to being with us, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
No, it's a great initiative. I think it's something that's definitely been needed for a while. I think we are, as a society, ready to start looking at a more sustainable way of life, of living, and seeing more brands that are moving towards it. Is incredibly important. So thank you so much for putting it together.
It's our pleasure. Nice to see you, Anna. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye.